4. The second day they did 15. So they're just.
And talk about the poles.
Yes, actually, I talked with the contractor yesterday, and since they're going so well, now that we're putting new fixtures on, some of the poles are crooked. You know, they're leaning, so
it's more noticeable.
It's more noticeable now because we have a taller and thinner fixture as opposed to the shorter, wider one. So since everything is going in well, he's going to start adjusting and straightening out some of these poles.
At no extra cost to offset, yeah.
Like, is it a bolt adjustment or?
No, I think they actually end up having to like strap it and then pull it and put more fill or. I don't know.
He's probably.
Yeah, he was willing to do that, so I gave him the okay for that.
Hey Jeff, on your list here that you gave us, it shows village vehicles. They just thought that maybe you might want to list some of your ancillary equipment, your gator, your tractors, your sewer jetter, stuff like that, just so that everybody's got a good idea, because you've got a
there's a lot of
pile of maintenance stuff and plow equipment and things like that that you might want to throw on there, just so that everybody's got a good picture. That's all.
Okay.
Good point.
Yeah.
Do we have any capability with these new fixtures of, if we need to, readjusting where the light falls?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can be turned.
Do you have to move the whole fixture, or is it something
you can move the whole fixture? The lights do come with a sticker on it that says street side, so they are designed to actually throw most of the light down the street, and then a little bit of backlight, like for sidewalk, in on a corner. There may be one or two. We'll have to see if anybody does have any issues that are located on a corner, which may be broadcasting a little bit more further back. I haven't had any complaints right now. I haven't seen anything, but there is a way you can adjust.
And would we adjust it, or would the beacon, the Rutherford beacon?
No, we could adjust it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something the contractor could do.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take the hit.
A question. Under wetlands, the grass is so tall at Hainesville Meadow, I can't tell whether that drain pipe has been put in lower or whether it's just the grass is covering.
No, the grass is covering, yeah.
So could we put that on the list of things to plan to do?
Yeah, that'll go on to the next, it'll be on the next report. It's going to start once we get done with the path work.
It was on the schedule for this week.
It's on the actual schedule, but I didn't throw that in there because we haven't started it yet.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't want to put like a status 0.
Before the rain, it was like the lowest it has been all year, so
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it today.
Yeah, no, it's kind of hard to see it. But yeah, we will. Yeah, that is on the weekly schedule.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, that's all I have. Unless anybody else has any questions or comments or
Any takers?
recommendations.
Okay, we'll move on to our police chief, Phil Perlini.
Well, we finally ran a new statistical report, which is about 90% completed. We ran past the mayor to see if it's understandable, a little bit different format, some pie charts and things like that. We'll keep working on that to tune it up however you guys would like to see it. We're fairly flexible with that. It's not a, Dick Welton is our guy in charge of most of those things, electronic communications and things like that. Very good with reports, so he can tweak it and make it however you want to see it. But the basic numbers that were in the old report are back. We're having a little problem with status changes and things like that. As you know, about 6 months ago, we went through a computer change, and we haven't been the same since. We haven't gotten back.
I'm not familiar with that at all.
Right? I know.
I haven't forwarded the report to anyone yet because I had that one question for you.
Right.
And I just wanted to look over it more closely to get all my questions clarified before I forward it to everyone.
Right, so everybody understands when they see it. Sometimes there may be some remarkable things on there. If you don't hear a follow-up from me about those remarkable things, they were truly not remarkable as they appear. Things are characterized, or I should say titled, as they are called in to dispatch. oftentimes we have things called into dispatch and we get there and it's not what was called in. Not nearly as severe as it seems. And there is one stand out there that it was hair raising, but it was all fine. The other thing I'd like to remind everybody is school is out. Again, I ask that everybody uses caution driving a car. There's going to be lots of kids out there, lots of balls, lots of bikes, lots of everything. So I think we can all work together on keeping an extra eye out, staying off the cell phones, and driving with good manners. We don't have a lot of issues here, which is unbelievable for as backed up as 120 gets sometimes. But certainly, for some reason, we have that magical intersection of 45 and 120 in Grays Lake, where we seem to have a motorist dispute 2 or 3 times a day. So, good manners, you know, keep it good following distance, and watch for kids, because these lights are really helping at night. I will say that Jeff and I actually worked Saturday night on the street, worked overnight. I know, hard to believe, right? But we did. And they do make a difference. They light up the streets and the intersections very well, very safe for people driving and people walking that want to cross the street. I think they're much better. So that's about all I have. Does anybody have any questions? All right. Oh, the other thing I almost forgot. We have some promotions coming up. Next week, we will be officially promoting Jeff to Deputy Chief from Commander.
Excellent. You got to order a cake.
Chuck Foy will be going from Sergeant to Commander. Tim Warner will be going from an Assistant Watch Commander to Sergeant. And then we will be giving somebody the Assistant Watch Commander position in addition. So it'll be 4 episodes anyway. And hopefully 25,000 more. So
Awesome.
that includes both Hainesville and Grays Lake.
Can you forward me all that in an email when you have a minute, Phil? Just
Certainly.
so I can send them congratulations. And,
Certainly.
okay, that would be great.
And that's all I have.
Okay.
The chief talking about children in school being out, were we going to put some kind of signs on Hainesville Road at the Tolo crossing for the weekends? What were we talking about?
Oh, the temporary
cross, yeah,
sign,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I have it and it's ready to go, so.
I think the weather this past weekend kind of.
Yeah, that might have hampered it, but yeah, now is that something that could go out on a Friday and then be pulled Monday, stay out there all the time?
That's what we had decided, that it would go out on Friday at quitting time, so to speak,
So
and
Friday
pick up Monday morning.
Pick up Monday morning, okay.
Right, thank you.
And then, of course, we're still waiting for the new speed signs to arrive, so.
Yes.
And once those arrive, we will.
Well, in fact, I'm glad you mentioned that, because actually what they had told me is this morning, actually June 9th was the Lake County Board meeting, because that speed limit or report had to be voted on and acknowledged by the county board. So that should have occurred this morning. We didn't anticipate that being an issue since we, the village, were in support of it. That's usually what they're looking for. So that should have taken place. So now the sign should go up shortly. They made it clear that it wouldn't happen until after their board voted on it.
Right, and once we get the changed signage, there will be plenty of enforcement, so everybody understands. Nice enforcement. at first.
Warnings at first and then
Warnings
more
at first.
severe, yeah.
And as time goes on, it gets worse. The penalties become the same. And it's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Treasurer Kelly Hensley, you're up.
I'm up. Just a couple of items. For this board packet this time, you have received the new format of the bills payable report. It is a little bit more lengthy on paper-wise right now. Once we get caught up in the office and that, I'll look at a different format to have all the same things, but condense it. Kind of like right now, two-sided, it was like 6-7 pages again, and last time was big too. So we're going to be looking at tweaking up some of the reports in the coming months. With that being said, with the new software, it is really, really user-friendly. Even when you try to go through your notes to find it, you're like, you know what, I think I know where this is going to be. And you would just go to it like, okay, I think this is how we should do. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. It's, you know, in any of the processes that I've come across so far, in the general ledger program, in the cash receiving program, the utility billing program. Can't say anything about business licensing yet, that's up and coming soon. So that'll be a nice change in there for the clerk and deputy clerk to work with that. But so far, everyone, the feedback that I've been getting from the office staff, the software is going smooth. There's our employee Donna, she's been in contact with support many a times to get some little bugs or changes that we want performed at a quicker pace than waiting, so she's been handling some of those items for me. With that, I'm still continually training Donna on the utility billing. It's a cumbersome project, but in a couple more months I'll feel more relief on that area. With the new software, we're also kind of going through new processes with each and every item that we touch. So with that brings new procedures in that. So we've been kind of doing a little bit of procedures here and there, and then taking those and going through it when we have to do that process again and tweaking. So that's going to be a long-term project, but we'll get back to how we are now. We currently have a procedure for everything from A to Z to run the village on the softwares and that with the old systems, and we'll continue getting that all put in writing and that, even with the manuals that we got with BSNA. They're great tools, but they're not our procedures, how to do what to do.
Yes, and it's a lot more procedures than you would think.
Yes.
There's a couple things that surprise me, like, oh, okay, we have to think about
Everything.
everything.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, from A to Z with everything. With other than that, I've been just really trying to catch up on my desk and keep going. That's all I have to report.
Just to cap that, the software is dominating most of our time, and just because there's so much doing. But I want to tell the other board members, I drop in once or twice a week. Every one of the ladies at one time or another last week said, "Oh, this stuff is great. It's a lot to learn. Oh, this stuff is great." It's just when it becomes habit rather than a learning experience, it's going to be so much more efficient than what we had. And again, and I'll continue to say this, the ladies have done a great job, not only in the training, but in implementation and their enthusiasm behind it has made it a difficult job a little better.
Agreed, you're
Kelly, how are things going with AT&T?
You know, it's
Kelly, I should ask.
How are things going with ADP?
ADP, the payroll process.
ADP. Acronyms.
There was some behind-the-scene work that I needed help from their department, their general ledger setup department, that was very frustrating. And then after I got off the phone with that contact, I went on and looked in their behind the scenes and kind of self-taught myself, like, well, if this is what I want to do, let's try it this way. So I think I got it pretty much how we want it without their help. Today's payroll, Kathy inputted in that, and my feedback that I got from her was basically it went in smooth. The reports that she gave to me, they look like the reports that I want. A little bit more tweaking, but we're getting there. And once we get there and get that process, how to figure out how to get into our new software process easier, because they don't talk to each other. It's going to be manual journal entries, which is not a bad thing. It'll be easy, but it's almost there.
But the one thing I want to add, Kelly did their job. She literally did a lot of the entry and programming that they should have done. And they have never really received the training that they were supposed to get. They have literally self-taught themselves. So I do plan on, when I'm in the office back full-time next week, composing a letter. Not just talking to them on the phone, but sending a letter, because I think that we're owed some free service from them.
I just wanted to make sure that they were responding in a way that was good enough to keep them.
Well, with the amount of time that Kathy and myself have invested in it, it came to a point where you have to continue. Continue, get it going. Don't go back to the old systems or ways to figure out how to make that work. Continue where you're at now, because once you get past the hurdle, and like the mayor said, we self-taught us on a lot of things within this program. It's going to work out. And then if we're going through it for a little while and we're having communication problems with the staff there and that, when we need them, then we can deal with it.
Does the new software have any capability to be doing the payroll instead of?
That would be an additional cost.
We didn't buy the payroll software, and we really, the bottom line is outsourcing the payroll is a time saver. It's just the transition was much more complicated than it ever should have been.
Right.
What Kelly wound up doing, besides, you know, them self-teaching, Kelly literally went in, they kept entering the information wrong on our employees, you know, whether it was social security numbers, dates, different, just repeatedly. She went in and finally just corrected everything. She figured out how to find her way around in their software, and she entered everything. And she stayed here late doing that to get the payroll done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to our village clerk, Kathy Messer.
Okay, I have the prevailing wage ordinance on under business and just cleaning up my desk. That's it.
Okay, we will move on to my report. I have a few thank you notes. Joanne Johnson and her family sent the village staff and board a thank you note for the support and the planning and execution of the memorial service for Erlen Johnson. And we also received a nice thank you note from our clerk Kathy Metzler regarding to the acknowledgement of her 15-year anniversary and her special gifts. And it was our pleasure. And then I'm going to ask the clerk for help in pronouncing this name. Do you know this name? I meant to ask Ro. I don't even know who it is. It's Susan, let's see, Jim, the attorney may be good at reading. That's right, I didn't even forget it. Otherwise I'll have to report next week with or next board meeting what this name is. Well, anyway, our deputy clerk, Roseanne Stark, has been working with the resident. They had applied for several permits. They did some driveway reconstruction, and they were having parking issues. And so, of course, we gave them permission to put their vehicles here at the village hall while the work was being done. And so this is a note thanking Roseanne and the village for all the help with the expediting of the permits, and also for the parking and so on. So it's nice. We're always happy to do that stuff. We don't expect a thank you, but it's nice when you do get a thank you.
It's Lisa Hirsch.
Lisa Hirsch.
Yes.
All right, that's Lisa or Lisa?
Isn't it Lisa? Yeah, Lisa Hirsch.
Okay, I think the last name is Hirschman. Okay, all right.
Now that I know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, good. Okay, so Lisa Hirschman. Okay, wonderful. Also, last week, a week and a half ago, we had the reading at Prairie View. I was a guest reader there, as well as several of our trustees, so that's always a fun experience. Robinson Engineering, who's our water operating firm, they had an open house on Thursday, June 4th, and again, several of us were in attendance there. A really nice facility, just down 120, just off of 120 in Volo, and really a nice, close facility. So that worked out very well for us. And that's really all I have, other than I'm going to expand a lot on the SWUP electronic recycling in a moment. So let's move on to our business. First item up is a motion to adopt the prevailing wage ordinance. I know this is Georgianne's favorite.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Is this a requirement? Do we need to do this? I mean, we don't have a choice, right?
Correct.
That's correct. The statute requires it. The governor is trying to get legislation to change it.
Yeah.
Right now, it's required. There are penalties for not complying with the statute, and I recommend strongly that the board adopt it.
Just one question out of curiosity. If we are all all the villages of municipalities are required to do this, then why is it sufficient just to have a legislative mandate out of the state and not need to always separate?
It makes it look like we're going along.
The only answer I have for you is because that's what the statute says we have to do.
That's what-
Okay, sorry, ass.
I told you so.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustees Georgianne Duberstein,
Nay.
Barrett,
Aye.
Hein,
Aye.
Daly,
Aye.
and George Duberstein.
Aye. See, we don't always agree.
Motion carried. Ordinance number 15-6-206.
So I'd like to go back and just discuss the Swelco electronic recycling program. Not only is Hainesville a member of Swelco since its inception, but I also currently serve on the executive committee board as well. And as you know, we ran into a crisis mode over a year ago, right during the holidays. And the question was, do we shut down electronic recycling? Do we try to keep it going and dig into our reserves in Swelco funding? And the decision was made to downsize from 18 locations to 6. And we put a temporary halt on 1-day or 2-day events such as we've had here with collections. And at that time, I was of the stance, I was really just so outraged with what was going on in Springfield that let's shut down the whole everything. Let's just let every Lake County resident know there is no electronic recycling. Let our residents put the pressure on Springfield. But we decided to put money into it, as Walter said, to the tune of $200,000, and we kept 6 sites going. And we said we'll get the legislation passed, and we were all, up until very recently, believing this legislation was the answer to our prayer. Now, both the House and Senate in Springfield did pass the legislation. The Speaker is sitting on it. He has not forwarded it to the Governor. He doesn't plan on forwarding it to the Governor anytime soon, because he doesn't want it to be considered a show of compromise. So, the Speaker can sit on it for up to 30 days. Once it goes to the Governor can sit on it up to 60 days. And we honestly don't know what the Governor's going to do with it. That remains to be seen. It's not clear to us. So, as Walter said, by early August, our electronic recycling program will most likely be out of money. To keep it running from August to December 31st, they are anticipating that it will take another $130,000. So my reaction to the executive committee member was, shut it down. Let's go do what I wanted to do a year ago. So the discussion ensued, we went round and round, everybody had a different opinion. As Walter said, the majority decided at our June 25th Swelco board meeting with the full board, which is here at the Village Hall at 7 p.m. on Thursday. Please come. We will discuss, and there'll be a resolution asking the board to vote that we will take $130,000 out of our reserve fund to fund it till the end of the year, with the stance that if there is no program approved at a no-cost basis, that effective January of the new year, electronic recycling will cease. Now, the other thing that we talked about at that meeting, and we will be discussing June 25th, is, well, how do we keep this, where do we get more money to keep this going? Members of Swelco currently, we pay a fee yearly. We also get some money back. We're getting less and less money recycling back, and I think Walter explained why. We're our own worst enemy. Less and less money get recycling. And we can live without the money, but we're not going to pay to keep the program going. So do we consider going back to each SWELCO member and saying, if you don't do this already, because there are a few municipalities that already do we go to our utility bill and add a fee, a monthly fee for SWELCO, for the purpose of funding SWELCO? And if that's the case, what would that magic number be? Would it be $1 a month, 50 cents a month? I don't know. That's one of the options. The other thing that we were talking about earlier in the executive meeting before we received this bad news is talking about how recycling is changing in nature. I've been to a variety of meetings. We're trying to get carpet recycling funded and to take place. There is a emerging market for that, believe it or not, and some other types of recycling. The electronics market, unfortunately, is dropping. Obviously, we don't want this stuff in the landfill. We don't want it thrown in the field. But the recyclers don't want it anymore because all the electronics have become smaller. The precious metals inside are smaller and less. And it leaves them with a lot of plastic and glass. And the glass is the biggest problem. It's the biggest pain, and they don't want it. And it's a lot for them to go through. And a lot of these recycling manufacturers or turnover that make this product into something else or sell this scrap to somebody else still use just labor. There is equipment that they could invest in that would sort this stuff faster, but people don't want to spend the money for the equipment. So we were talking as a group at SWELCO how our facility even needs to be updated in Gurney, and I apologize, I didn't silence my phone, to find different ways to recycle and do this cost effectively. So my argument was that that's money in reserves that we should be looking at spending to reinvent SWELCO and who we are to keep recycling going at the pace we have been in Lake County. So I have a really mixed view on this $130,000 and funding that from August to December. I don't know that it buys us a lot. But I want everybody to be updated. If you have any thoughts, feel free to contact anyone in Springfield and let them know how you feel. Obviously, the long-term solution, and this is legislation we're pushing for as well, the manufacturers, believe it or not, continue to fight back on this, and it personally makes me crazy. The easy solution for electronic recycling, what's going to have to happen is that every time you go to buy a TV, you go to buy a smartphone, a tablet, whatever, you should be charged a recycling fee right there on the spot. Again, whether it's $2 or $3, I have no problem volunteering to pay that right now, and I don't think most people would, because then that takes away the gripe. The manufacturer keeps saying, we can't afford to do this. Fine, charge me to do it, and if everybody has to do it, it does not change their competitive market, because all the competitors have to do the same thing. But you know that's not going to happen anytime real soon. Manufacturers have been fighting this for several years. We will continue to fight, but I don't anticipate anything happening anytime soon. But that is the long-term solution.
How much do we pay for our membership?
I want to say 1,300.
1,300?
Maybe they should look at increasing dues.
Well, and that's one of the things that was brought up. The concern is that Walter had in SWELCO is that in a time where we don't know how much money municipalities are getting taken away from them, or the fear of with Springfield, that now they're going to go and say, hey, guess what, we're raising your fees. And that's why we brought up the fact that we probably are going to have to raise fees, but then maybe we need to put back of that. Right now, we don't put any of that theoretically on our residents. Would we then have to incorporate that in our bill?
Also, if I heard you correctly, the 6 sites that are still open are still gathering a lot of electronics.
Yes.
So I hope that maybe it will affect your opinion a little bit. If they shut down the program,
Talking to the woman, please.
if they
Thank you.
if they shut down the program, that stuff is going to end up in the landfill.
Well, and it's gonna end up in fields, because again, yes, some of it, small items are gonna make it into the landfill. The TVs that get put on the curb, they're not gonna take away. They're gonna either charge to take it away, or people are gonna be back to dumping. You're gonna find TVs in odd spots all over Lake County.
Or smash it.
Yeah, yeah.
What those fees, or the money that,
The dues.
no, the money that, $100 and some odd $1,000 you said to take us to the end of the year, or the $200,000 plus that we paid already, what is that money actually for? No.
It pays for staff, it pays for the equipment. There's sorting bins kept at these sites. Right now, the main site that serves this area is in Grays Lake.
Right.
Okay? Grays Lake, just like us, they're not in a position to have their staff doing all this. They do some, okay? Their public works does help some, but it's Swelco employees that are coming out there, picking everything up. There's bins that they're supposed to keep things separate in. People don't read signs, so not everything is totally separate. You have to go through it. It has to go back to the Swelco location in Gurney and get resorted, and then it gets sent out to different places depending what elements are
So
there.
basically, this for extra staff pay or something to do all these?
It's a combination, staff pay, I guess the trucking, movement, containers.
Does Swelco get the money from the recycling, or does it go to the villages?
Swelco gets the money from the recyclers, and a portion is sent back to the municipalities based on their participation. For example, when we would have our one-day event, that money comes to us. Now, we're getting less and less money because there's less and less money in electronic recycling, which, like I said, kind of boo-hoo, but we don't care. The main goal is recycling. So as long as we have a no-cost program where you're breaking even, that's fine, because you're still recycling. You're keeping the stuff out of the landfill. The problem is now when we have to start paying.
Right, but I'm just thinking, rather than recycling the money back to the municipalities, would it help if Swelco kept whatever?
We talked about that, we have talked about that, it wouldn't be enough. Yeah, no, it wouldn't be enough.
But it'd be something.
It would be, yes, it would be something, and that certainly would be added into it if we're gonna discuss raising fees.
But now that they've reduced the number of sites down to 6, assuming there was any money coming back to Swelco, how could they determine which villages should actually get it? Because like for some.
Well, you're right, because that was another point brought up. Everybody was saying, well, gee, now the 6 communities should get a bigger share, and should anybody else get anything? There was a whole discussion about that point.
Yeah, because people like from Hainesville would have to go to Grays Lake to.
Exactly. And what was decided is, this was believed it was a temporary situation, so everybody said, let's leave it alone. The goal, the ultimate goal, recycling is being met, it's a short-term solution, so we're not gonna shake it up. But now, the tides have changed. So again, that will all be brought up on June 25th. I'm sure it's gonna be an exciting meeting.
Will the legislators be in session, or will you be able to get some of our local guys here to hear the meeting?
I think they'll be in session, but who knows? Yeah, I mean, they certainly are being told. I mean, Swelco, we have a lobbyist down there. I mean, Swelco has people down there. They've traveled down there in person, so,
Okay.
yeah. Any other questions, comments? Just food for thought. Feel free to email me with any other ideas or thoughts. Okay, I'd like to ask for adjournment of the regular board meeting.
So moved. Second.
All right, meeting adjourned at 7:58. We'll take a 5-minute break and then we'll come back and open our committee of the whole meeting.